remember my last conversation. Clearly, I remember my last conversation with my father, face to face. And I remember him saying to me, "Motiomo entoje," which is to say, remember whose son you are. Remember where you belong. My parents had sent me to the UK. I remember coming off the plane. It was horrible, the cold. Then I get to my uncle's house. He opens the door. He says, "Otide, wajia, oh, you have come. You will suffer." And his words just became quite prophetic. So my parents have sent me over for a better life. And it becomes clear after a while that something wasn't right because I moved from one family to the other. I wasn't a bad kid. I was just an unplanned child. And there's one point in my life which I remember clearly. This uncle had thrown me out. I had all my belongings in this one plastic bag, and I was walking and I'm thinking, okay, where am I going? The bag splits and I just burst into tears. It was something of a defining moment. I went through years of questioning who I really was. I was bitter. It was just a mess. My feelings were focused on my father. I would wonder why. In my head, he was a giant. He's this great, handsome, suave. He was personable. People loved him. And in my head, that was who I wanted to be. So he came from a Muslim family, and he still kept something of his Muslim faith until he met my mum. My mum leads him to Christ, and news gets back to his family, and he's told in no uncertain terms that you are dead to us. But he became very active in church, and there was a group of Muslims, and they said to him, "Well, if you carry on, we are going to kill you." I always had questions as to why did you allow me to go through the things I did. After years of grappling with these things, I had made up my mind I wanted to go and see him. I wanted to talk to him. I'd written to him before, but that didn't make the pain any less. That probably made the pain more once he was snatched away. The last thing he was doing before he was shot was he was writing me a letter. And he gets a call from a young gentleman who my parents had picked up off the street. He was the one that was hired as an assassin. Because my father recognized his voice, he comes out and he's shot in the stomach. I remember my uncle showing me the picture of my father's body. Looking back now, I was in shock. This great man who I'd lived with in my head, who I aspired to, was reduced to this corpse on the floor. I felt like on the one hand, you've killed my hero, and the other hand, all the questions I could have asked to get an answer is, man, I couldn't get any more. Now looking back, I'm glad he was at rest, because this is something I've never talked about. I'm glad he's at rest. Yeah, I'm glad he's at rest. The last time I saw him face to face, he also gave me Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. When my mother and my father forsook me, then the Lord took me up. When you're going through that dry place, you don't realize stuff could have happened that could have meant I ended up dead in prison. There were many times, but somehow he shielded me. My father was killed by those who said to him they will wipe his name away from the face of the earth. I have the benefit of heading up a radio station, the privilege of doing a TV show. That TV station is watched by 70 million people. This show comes up with Muyiwa Olarewaju. Olarewaju, the name that said they would wipe away from the face of the earth. Does it make it any easier? No, it doesn't. But it means I've made up my mind. All things work together. So if the fire burns us, we will not bow. We will worship Jesus only.